Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Championship Check-In podcast, looking at the wonders of the greatest league in the world, the EFL Championship, at the greatest time of the season as well. And it's back to the old days, Sam. We are live and in Technicolor. We looked at the schedule this week and this was about it to fit this in. So are you happy to be back live here on YouTube in front of a studio audience?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've missed it. It's been, I don't know. It just feels like genuinely the best championship season I've covered. And maybe that's down to us doing this show. There you go. Blowing a bit of smoke up your backside. But I think just because you've had to be so across it, it's just been phenomenal. And to go into the last, 4 or 5 games, having 3 teams, 4 teams, nothing to play for, it just amazing. Even the playoffs still been open to a degree. It's just phenomenal. I've loved it, doing a lot of live games at the moment. So just a great time to be alive and following the championship.
People in the chat, get your comments in. We'll do some questions for Sam, hopefully, if we have time at the end of the show. I just want to respond quickly. I have 2018-19 as the goal that I thought that, even though Ipswich finished bottom and Norwich won the title, that season was incredible with Bielsa and Farker and Wilder and, the Derby Leeds playoff and Aston Villa and Grealish and all of that. I've got that as a high watermark. So maybe you and I can debate that at the end of the season when we know exactly what has happened. Right. Let's, without further ado, get into Parkin's pick. So, we've chosen to talk again about the promotion race. You can forgive us for doing that, Sam. As usual on this podcast, we don't want to state the bleeding obvious. And the bleeding obvious is this week, we've had a little bit of a slowdown. I want to know from you, Sam, why we've had a little bit of a slowdown. Are we talking a basic regression to the mean after just incredible performance all season? These sides had to drop some points at some point. Are we talking nerves? Are we talking tiredness after Easter doubleheader and then a 3-game week? But yeah, just very, very odd, particularly the midweek round. If we just take Southampton out of the equation for a second, Leeds drawing 0-0 with Sunderland, a bit tense, a bit nervous, couldn't get the goal. Maybe bad refereeing call went against them, but still not at their best. You, Sam, were at Millwall versus Leicester, where Leicester went under. I was at Ipswich versus Watford, and I'll say, apart from no refereeing call went against Ipswich, I'll say the same thing. On top, couldn't score, nervous, gnarly end to the season. Why, Sam, has this midweek happened where nobody has put their foot on the gas?
Well, I'm not going to throw a blanket over all 3 and kind of pigeonhole just the magnitude of reasons. I think I tallied up the points since the international break, and I think Ipswich maybe 7 points have they in the 4, certainly better than the other 2. So I think there's maybe a lack of intensity in comparison to how the teams were playing prior. The other ingredients, last night, Watford, new manager, I think. So I think that plays a part hugely. All of a sudden, they're really competitive and organised.
But Sam, the stakes now, when that game went, you've played many, many football seasons. When that game went to 60, 65 minutes and you're at the end of the season, you know how vital it is. It's just different to playing a game in October, isn't it?
Yeah, the integrity as well of the other sides to turn out, like Watford and Sunderland in those 2 games and put their bodies on the line and give everything. They have to be commended. Sunderland, you're going to raise your game going to Ellen Road. And I think if you rewind 2 or 3 weeks, I was saying Leeds are on the march. Leeds are looking like the most likely winners of the title because they had so many players in form. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 games later, you've got a number of them that aren't in form all of a sudden. I think Ruta is not at the level he was prior to his little operation. We did Dan James the player to watch a couple of weeks ago. he was really quiet in that Sunderland game. Even Somerville, I think, was well dealt with. I think it was Hume on his side. So there's a number of players there that all of a sudden aren't completely at it. And then if I take it to the Leicester game, I suppose it's the magnitude of the occasion for Millwall.
True.
In isolation there. Did I turn up there expecting Leicester to win? Yeah, and I expected Leicester to win comfortably. And maybe that was doing a disservice to Millwall's history and what they can do in one-off matches. But my goodness me, they got it right. They got a performance. And Leicester, of course, didn't create much, but I don't think that's been in keeping with the majority of these games. I think they've still... Look at Bristol City. I know a few of those opportunities for Vardy in particular were of Bristol City's own making, if you like, but they still passed up some great chances in that game that they lost. At Millwall, nothing really until Fatawu came on and he went for the jugular with a triple change as well just before the end, Maresca. So they were very, very subdued. Not ridiculously open. And on the face of it, it took an outstanding goal to beat them. So in a nutshell, to summarise what I've just said for 2 minutes, it's the Championship, mate. It's the Championship. And it's amazing. And yeah, Leeds had an incredible run. But the reality was, like Southampton, it's an incredible run. It's not going to go on for the entirety. You're not going to do it for 18, 20, 25 games. You know, there's too many good sides and fatigue kicks in and players lose form.
Yeah. So where are you with this? Because honestly, I mean, it's up on the screen now. If you're listening on the audio feed after the fact, Leicester, 88 points, game in hand, plus 42 goal difference. Ipswich, 88 points, played a game more, 10 goals less. So disadvantaged in two ways there, but tied on points. Leeds, 1 point further back, 87. No game in hand, but plus 11 goals on Ipswich, 43 on the goal difference there. I was expecting, Sam, if I'm honest, two of the three teams to just keep powering on and one of them to, when I say fall away, just slightly, drop off and there'd be a little 3-4 point gap. Looking at it now, I've just got no idea. Just absolutely no idea, especially now, because we've seen Leicester for about 4 months at the start of the season, Leeds from New Year's Day, just be completely imperious. But we are actually seeing signs of fallibility. Where are you with it now with 4 and 5 games to go?
I think I'm in exactly the same place as you, mate. I have no idea what I will be relatively strong on. And I know it contradicts what I've just said because the Championship just throws up stupid results to baffle us continually. I think Leicester's run is the hardest. And I think if we go back over a few weeks...
Let me bring it up while you're talking, Sam. Continue.
I think if we go back a few weeks, I've always felt that Leeds and Ipswich had the better run-ins. And that was from about a dozen in. I think it was Southampton and Leicester, Leeds and Ipswich at that stage. And I felt Southampton and Leicester had the hardest runs. Leicester go to Argyle, obviously we've spoken about before, tomorrow night. And you'll
be there, Sam.
I'll be there. I don't think that's the worst of this little clutter, but it's still a tough game. Then West Brom, Southampton, Preston. That is the reason that I've always been a little bit pessimistic about Leicester's tail end to the season. So, yeah, I think they've got the toughest games, but I have no idea what's going to happen from now on in. If you just look at Ipswich quickly, I would say the next 3 games are all against dangerous opposition. Dangerous teams who...
Sam, Huddersfield could be dangerous on the last day of the season if they're playing for survival.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and of course. And Leicester home to Blackburn Rovers final day, and
true.
Leeds home to Southampton. Could be. Well, it's not going to be as probably integral as maybe it was looking, but yeah, I just think there's some unpredictability in those games that Ipswich face.
Sam, I don't like that 3-game week either. The pressure. There's 2 scenarios for Ipswich, right? Going into a 3-game week to end the season, 2 away games, Hull, Coventry, and then Huddersfield. Sam, if they go into that week and the door is wide open, the pressure is massively on. If they go into that week and Leeds and Leicester have put points on the table and they're chasing, the pressure is on. You just can't get out of the fact that playing a 3-game week to end the season with your game in hand in round 45. I know Southampton will be playing as well if they're in the conversation. That just seems like a no-win situation from the scheduling point of view.
Yeah, it does seem tough, doesn't it? You'd want a week to prepare for that final day if there's something huge riding on it.
Exactly.
Just quickly before we move on, in terms of changes that could be made, if I just take Leeds and Leicester maybe just quickly, and you can chip in on that and then give me your perspective on what Ipswich should do team selection wise, or what's going on, who's in form, should they change shape? Leicester the other night, I think Atgun played in place of Fatawu, and he had immediate impact when he came on. It felt to me like a little bit, I don't know if he was carrying a knock, but it felt to me a little bit like a bit of a sympathy start for Atgun, because he gave him an hour, he did fine, but then it was like, right, your numbers up, we're behind in this game. Fatawu came on and had a real impact. So that was the one, obvious omission. I'd expect him to come back in. Just that Justin on the left-hand side as well. And I know Doyle's an exceptionally talented young player, but I just don't like Leicester with no pace, especially when Ricardo Pereira is so high.
They play quite slowly anyway, Sam, don't they?
Yeah, I more mean recovery-wise, and he gives them a little bit going the other way as well, which you don't get from Doyle. He obviously filters into to make that left-sided centre-half as a 3. I thought Ricardo Pereira's position, I was chatting to someone about it today, actually. He obviously often this season has been the nominal right back when they've been defending, but in possession, he's quite often in that 2 with Harry Winks. Well, the other night, he was playing like a number 8, as high as Ndidi. Ndidi on the left of midfield, Ricardo Pereira on the right, Dewsbury Hall behind the striker, Harry Winks at the base. So it's almost a 3-diamond 3. So Millwall did a brilliant job in counteracting that, in making sure that Ricardo Pereira was tracked. But yeah, I just felt maybe that left side, you could have that dual-pronged attack with a bit more pace there, and also he helps going the other way when they've got a distinct lack. The other thing I wanted to note, and I bored someone else about this the other day, just because it was a position I used to play and I was monitoring him quite closely the other night. Vardy had 9 touches in 72 minutes. 72 minutes, 9 touches, nice. 1 scuff shot in the first half. And listen, obviously, if he'd have scored 2 goals, I wouldn't be sat here saying it. And I saw Martin O'Neill scoffing at the notion that a striker, I think it was Haaland they were talking about, is not contributing enough if they're not touching the ball as much, if they're scoring. And I think Vardy's maybe out of that school. If he doesn't touch the ball but he gets a goal, he's satisfied with that. He makes those 20 runs in behind. If he gets in once and gets his goal, he's done his job. But I think the wider point is, why are Leicester not getting more out of the central striker? And I think the shape of the team, the onus on the 2 wide guys, the way they attack, slow. No touches for the centre forward, no chances really at the moment, like not a magnitude of chances. So I don't know why, because you look at the 4 that they had going into the season, the numbers aren't terrible. Vardy's got 14, I think, but still just not getting enough. I think the Leicester fans would tell you, if you what's the family fortunes? If you
asked 100 people.
Yeah. If you surveyed 100 people who should be playing up front, you probably get a decent split there. And quickly on Leeds, I don't know if Gruev was involved the other night, but I think he played. He played.
I just felt he's probably not fit, but they've gone, look, get back in, we need you. That's just a hunch. Yeah.
And the right-hand side looked a bit off it. Obviously, I spoke that Somerville was well shackled. For me, Bamford's got to come out now. Bit of a shout. I think he's not scored.
I think the Leeds fans in the chat agree with you on that. Yeah,
I think he scored.
He needs a goal, doesn't he? Yeah,
he's not scored in the last 5. I saw Joseph at Stamford Bridge. He's 100% got something. Scored a couple on that day. He obviously got that important one in the league as well. And Peru obviously is waiting in the wings at the moment. So I think a change needs to be made there. And in a nutshell, I think they need a freshness brought to him before this Blackburn game. So I would expect Daniel Farker to make 3-4 changes just to try and reignite a little bit of life after just the 1 point from the 2 games.
From an Ipswich point of view, Sam, just on freshness and pepping up, if you were to see the name possibly George Hurst on the subs bench against Middlesbrough with a 2-week gap after that game, and the possibility that Ipswich might be able to sub out Kiefer Moore and bring in George Hurst for the last 3 games, that might be the kind of pep up they need as well in terms of goals. Because let's be honest, across the board, amazingly, Ipswich, no goals. Leicester, no goals. Leeds, no goals in midweek.
Yeah. I don't think you should blur what I think was a really good window for Ipswich, though, and I think that could still prove to be really integral. Yeah. And another night, Kiefer Moore's header first half, he gets that a little bit. Yeah. He gets that a little bit better down to the surface, and they win the game. I don't think that you can detract from how good a signing him and Al Hamady could still be. But yeah, absolutely, a bit like Millwall, opposite end. I think Bradshaw came on for 15 minutes the other day, and there's the potential of Nisbet being available for this weekend as well. So just at the right time, if he's used intelligently, I'm sure they'll be really savvy with them introducing Hurst back into the fold. He could end the season as a hero. So it's perfect for them, really. And sometimes when you come back and you have that freshness and that desire, and if I go back to my time at Ipswich, listen, I wasn't able to turn around my mediocre start, but it did give me a different focus when I was out of the side. How can I help this team? How can I improve it when I come back? And Hurst was having a really good time when he got injured. So he'll have a really clear and concise idea about how he can come and be the difference maker. So that's really exciting. I didn't know that.
And just to round this out, Sam, at the weekend, and we'll be talking about this on the show again on Monday, they all go one after the other, don't they? Again, Sam's going to be covering Plymouth versus Leicester. What is that, TalkSport, Sam?
That's TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night.
Is that a live commentary?
That's a live commentary, yeah. So we'll probably be, I don't know what time we'll be kicking off, probably. Is it an 8 o'clock? Probably 7:30 we'll be live at 7:30, yeah, for the build-up.
Yeah, so check out Sam on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. So that's Plymouth-Leicester. Then Leeds go early at 12:30 against Blackburn. So who knows what the hell we are going to be saying. And if we do clip this bit out, I know we're quite close to the weekend in terms of getting clips out. Get your thoughts in the comments. And of course, if you're in the live chat right now, talk to us about, we try not to be overconfident about our opinions, but no confidence whatsoever in predicting this top 3, top 2 race in the championship at the moment. I think, though, Sam Parkin's going to be fairly confident about Worldie of the Week for the midweek round. Right, we're talking who scored the best goal in the championship this round. Biggins, we are live on YouTube. You can have your say. Remember, the question is, who scored the best goal of the 24 2-4 teams that play in the championship this round? Not, can I pick a goal that my team scored and justify it as being the best goal? Sam, I've got a few shouts for you. I like Key for Swansea. I thought that was a nice finish. Left-footed. I like Mehmeti, dribble and finish, but we did have him a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? I like Longman for Millwall. Have I missed any out there? I think not a vintage round, Sam. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, maybe a nice mention for Osmajic, who a couple of them were nice.
Talking about him later, but yes, he take a bow, son.
Yeah, a couple of nice ones there. No, I can't really raise you there. Josh Bowlers was okay, wasn't it, at Birmingham?
There's a blindingly obvious winner here, isn't there?
The winner is, as I kept calling him the other night for obvious reasons, it's not Ryan Leonard, it's Ryan Longman with his stunner.
Did you say that on the radio?
No, mate. I mean, Ryan, both begin with an L, both about the same height, both same colour hair. I think one's like 18 and one's 12 shirt numbers. I mean, they're the same person, basically. And before I tell you how good the goal was, Ryan Leonard at right back up against Mavadidi. My goodness me, what a performance. What a
Really?
performance. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
can I just say quickly, Sam, before you go on, whenever I do Coventry, Josh Eccles and Ben Sheaf run the same, play the same, and their central midfield part, I can't do it. Anyway, sorry. What a goal by Ryan Longman.
Yeah, yeah. Exquisite. And, I touched on it earlier because of Leicester's setup. Millwall were 4-4-2, and Honeyman was doing a really good job at just making up that kind of midfield number really for Millwall. So he was playing quite inverted. Do you know what I mean? So he was playing off the line, even though he was playing in a wide position, wide left. He was tucking in and making sure that he was getting close enough to Ricardo Pereira, who is the one for Leicester that tries to give them the additional body in there. So it was a really unselfish role. He got injured, and then actually Eze come on, Romain Eze for Millwall, and he swapped Longman over, probably thinking it's a young kid. I don't want him to have to come on and just have to defend. So Longman actually took over that mantle of having to be quite deep, quite narrow, and basically not be able to get forward too often. And then all of a sudden, he kind of burst into life with about half hour to go. It was a real outlet for them, along with Obafemi, who played pretty well after a few kind of mediocre performances. And then Longman gets that opportunity down the left-hand side, cuts in and scores the most beautiful goal. I mean, it was an amazing moment. The fans were quite flat, I thought, in comparison to how they normally are for this type of game. I just thought there was maybe early on a bit of an acceptance that this might be too tough a proposition playing the league leaders, the form that Millwall are in particular. But the second half, when the performance level improved, they had a few attacks, throwing bodies on the line, doing really well to contain Leicester. The belief grew and the noise grew, but then when that flew in, there was an incredible sound. And it was, one of those nights where the den was absolutely bouncing. But yeah, as good as goal, possibly as I've seen live this season, I would say. I put it right up there. It's brilliant.
What a strike, Ryan Longman, who is our worldie of the week for Millwall. We are going to move things on, Sam. We're not lowering the tone for cause for concern because we're going to have a meltdown moment first. Right, I've got to set this up properly, Sam, because I constantly aim for the discourse in our chat about referees to be fair. Okay, so, if a referee makes a honest mistake where you can say, look, it's a really hard job, there's every chance he didn't quite see that, he's got to do it in real time, then I try my best to defend referees. But there are occasions where we find it hard to do that, and it is newsworthy to talk about a refereeing call. So with that being said, Sam, what is our meltdown moment this round?
Oh, we're going for the penalty award at the Hawthorns last night in the West Brom Rotherham game. It's Thomas Asante, is it, with a strike, and Swift that tucked away the penalty, if memory serves. I was watching this on the kind of Sky Sports News Around the Grounds type show. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but the reporter, I think, was maybe questioning whether it had hit the arm, and obviously he was doing it live and didn't maybe notice that he was outside.
That's not the issue here.
Yeah, that's not the issue here. The presenter obviously picked up on it when it went back to the studio, but I was watching it and honestly, I was thinking,
did you get it in real time?
No, it's maybe a minute or so after, but I was thinking,
but was it obvious to you in real time that penalty?
Yeah, I was just
like,
that cannot be a pen. That's like one of the worst I've ever seen. So yeah, absolutely, I don't want to pile on. Not that this is the platform that would do that, but I just I think sometimes, in any walk of life, in my day-to-day life, you make ricks, don't you? You misjudge things or you forget, especially when you got small children. I'm forever forgetting where I've put something or what, they need help, I suppose, because that's human error, isn't it? That can happen. Yeah, it's a really awful mistake. But where is the, I suppose, support there? That doesn't mean VAR. Where is the this where is the fall down on having the fourth official or having someone in the stand to be able to make that quick call to say you have made an absolute stinker here? I mean, I know this is a conversation that's probably been had multiple times over the years. I mean, if the assistant hasn't seen it, that's equally adept, but just not to have the capability or, you know, the
Sam, they're
understanding
on
just to pause
headsets,
it. They're on
so
headsets now, yeah.
the assistant surely can go, "Boss, are you sure that's inside the box?" From my view, that was outside.
Yeah.
We've got a problem here.
Yeah. The only thing to play devil's advocate is like if they had, and they do, you know, they have the iPads on the touchlines now in terms of the staff of both teams, but you know, just even having a feed of the game, it doesn't even have to be the fourth official, because the fourth official is so in the firing line anyway, so obvious that both benches are getting fired into them all the time, which is wrong, and it's probably improved this season with the tighter regulations. But just to have someone, he could be incognito behind the benches with the feed on and just press a button, and that, or have the direct line to the referee, and it could only maybe be for these massive decisions like that. I mean, ultimately, it didn't mean anything because Rotherham were already down, and West Brom were probably going to win that game, whatever happened. But still, yeah, I mean, that was terrible.
Yeah. Referee Eltringham. This is from a person who tries his absolute hardest to stop, you know, the ridiculous criticism of referees. And it is ridiculous, you know, the way, you know, someone makes an honest mistake and it's, you know, the most outrageous thing in the world. But yeah.
I mean, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to articulate, and it's hard to probably get it right. But I don't know where you draw the line. But for stuff like that, for mistaken identity, for things that are outside the box, things like that.
And Sam, for my money, I actually, and this will sound radical, and I've been talking about real-time stop clocks and things of that nature for years. I personally think that in the end, I think the penalty area gets made smaller, because the punishment as well for the free shot from goal from 12 yards with an XG of 0.77 or what it is, for that mistake, you've basically given them a goal for a speculative shot from outside. So there's a huge conversation about the whole methodology of, but yeah, to get a free shot at goal for that is just absurd.
Bring back indirect free kicks. I saw it on Twitter this morning, on X this morning. Someone getting obstructed in the box and them getting an indirect free kick, which just made me feel so nostalgic. It used to be the shout, didn't it, when we were kids? Probably, is it direct or indirect? Direct or indirect, ref?
I was just thinking about make the penalty box smaller. It would actually be problematic with the double jeopardy now, because if you're outside the box and you don't get the defensive, was it a deliberate on the denial of obvious goals? So there you go. There's a long conversation to be had, but there you go. Borough scored one. We're talking indirect free kicks there, Rob. In the chat, Chris, in the chat, I agree with Sam. A word in the refs here to give him a hand. Chris, I'm sure someone will correct me on the game. There was
That's
one
quality. That, sorry, Elstree Studios. That's where EastEnders is shot. I think he means Stockley Park, but it's magnificent.
Yeah. I've played a gig at Elstree Studio actually. What was I going to say? I was going to say something really sensible as well, and it's completely slipped. Oh, I was going to say there was a game. I'm sure it was Luton Bournemouth or something like that, where there was a suspiciously long delay where it looked like, and not that they would ever admit it, it looked like they'd had information from the side of the pitch from a replay. Not that that's, I'm getting very conspiracy theory, but yeah, it wouldn't be hard. Was it that, Annie?
Yeah, there's been refs that have stalled or assistants in the last couple of years and looked at the big screen, as they're not, or been suspicions.
Come on, Zidane on Materazzi 2006 World Cup final is definitely the first VAR red card in football. Not that anyone would ever admit it, because the ref clearly did not see that, did he? So there you go. We're moving on. Our meltdown moment. A terrible refereeing call. Referee Eltringham. You had a bad day, son. Come back stronger. But yeah, Rotherham. Horrible penalty given against them. And here we go, Sam, for a very familiar, we've been here before, cause for concern. Sam, the Birmingham fans in the Benjamin Bloom WhatsApp group that you can join, actually, if you hit the join button down here. That's one of the perks. Really excited in midweek. Lots of great news about this off-pitch stuff that Nighthead Capital are going to do under their ownership regime. Sam Parkin has said on record on this podcast, he thinks Gary Rowett in the home games has enough to get Birmingham away from the on the bottom of the table in the relegation zone. But Sam, an absolutely minging result. Birmingham 0, Cardiff 1. Sheffield Wednesday got themselves a draw. Yes, we had Huddersfield losing. Giant win for Millwall. Swansea at the top of the relegation race. But we are honing in, Sam, on Birmingham, who, with 4 games to go, have lost 4 of the last 5 and are second from bottom. It could move quickly, Sam, but Birmingham City are our cause for concern again.
Yeah, they've been our cause for concern a few times, have they?
Yeah.
Have they? It feels like this bad run, this terribly bad run, has just like crept up on me. I suppose you get a little bit sidetracked by the problems with Tony Mowbray, and obviously Mark Vina's taken over, and then Gary Rowett, and I suppose a little bit of positivity when he got reappointed, and then obviously you had an upturn in the performance at QPR, unquestionably. I had a little look at kind of the chance creation, the XG and stuff like that. I think they created a few chances on that day, and certainly felt that they maybe deserved the point. Lost to an absolute worldie. And then in the following game, they beat Preston at home 1-0. So it felt at that stage that it looked like it was going to be an appointment that may pay off. But yeah, you can understand losing it at Leicester. And last night, I didn't watch in its entirety, but I suppose the biggest thing is that lack of creation, the isolation of Stansfield up top, who is a terrific young player, but looks much more effective when he's playing in a wide position, or he's playing with someone who can complement him, someone who can maybe come towards the ball so he can obviously run behind and use his mobility. So I think that's the biggest issue for me going into the last 4 games. So this run of 6 defeats in 7, they've scored 3 goals. So yeah, just to double down on that point. And what do they do? What do they do if Jukovic isn't available? I mean, Jukovic, he's a lovely lad. I spent a bit of time with him when he was younger. He obviously started at Swindon, and he's been a brilliant player.
Did he? I didn't know
did,
that.
yeah. He went to Everton. After my time, got to know him through some mutual friends. But obviously, that's a massive ask for him at 34 now, I think, to bail them out of trouble. I don't think he's going to be available at the weekend. So the option is what? The option is to bring Hogan back in somehow, maybe play Stansfield wide. Dembele wasn't in the squad last night. And when you look
isn't it?
You look at the kind of configuration of that 3 behind the 1, I think Jordan James played higher last night. You've got to have Dembele there maybe as an option off the bench. So, yeah, I think the biggest 2 issues, probably the forward players and the fact that they've had 6 managers this year. I don't think you can look anywhere else. And I don't know what comparison I want to make here, but it's about creating that unity, that culture, for want of a better word.
I was going to say,
for want of a better word.
I agree with you.
And you can have different voices maybe on a match day, but day to day, players, I don't want to say are creatures of habit, but you want a continuity on the training ground, and you want to be working with the same coaches from day to day, and having players do like routine. If Monday is small-sided games and a bit of crossing and finishing, Tuesday is a little bit more focused on fitness work, Thursday and Friday you start to do the tactical stuff, and if you've got different voices, obviously there's been quite contrasting styles of play as well. I think another ingredient, another factor, led to believe there's quite a lot of short-term deals and players out of contract as well. And I think you want everyone obviously fully on the same page, and you want everyone highly motivated to keep Birmingham in the Championship. And if people have got, their eyes on moves or potentially they're not going to be there, a number of them aren't going to be there the next season, that can have an effect as well. So these are all the things that Gary Rowett will be having to deal with off the pitch and having to try to block out and get everyone wired in. What I will say, Coventry at home, dangerous game. We know that. Local game, tough opponent, free scoring opponent. But on the face of it, you'd 100% take Rotherham, right? You take Rotherham, they're down. Yeah, there is, and I said this on a different podcast this week, I've been in teams that have been relegated, and yeah, let's take these with us. That's the sentiment, when you're playing against a team that can go down. Like we've suffered, we've had a miserable couple of weeks. Let's take this lot down with us as well. So there is that, but you'd still take it. Huddersfield, horrible game, tough game. Could still be in it. Norwich at home. I'd like to think by then the playoffs will be secured. Not the worst home game if they desperately need another one of those 1-0s, which I predicted Gary Rowett would be capable of getting them. So it's not all over for them, but the form doesn't lie, does it? The form doesn't lie. And the goals, 3 in 7 games, that's a big problem.
So we've done this so many times, Sam. Let's rule Swansea off. They're up to 50. We thought QPR were going safe and they took the lead at Plymouth and then they got pegged back. But still, QPR 47, Millwall 47, Blackburn, and Alex has pointed out in the chat, have got 4 games to play. They've got Leeds, Coventry and Leicester at the top, and then a head-to-head against Sheffield Wednesday. So, oh my goodness me. Stoke 46, Plymouth 45, Huddersfield 43, Wednesday 43, Birmingham 42. It does feel like you're going to need to win 2 of the last 4 games to survive if you're in that mix. And we took numbers so many times and we've gone as high as 49 and is it just going to end up being 45, 46 like it normally is? But a brutal relegation battle, and we'll give it more detail, Sam, especially in terms of a 3-game shootout, and we'll give you a definitive number on Monday, okay? Just bear with us. This is impossible to judge. Right, let's have a little look ahead. Guys in the chat, I'm going to bung the fixtures up for the next round, which amazingly starts tomorrow. We just have no room to take a breath here. It is round 43. Sam and I were in early yesterday morning. Our predictions are already up, so get involved with that. Here are your fixtures, guys. Let us know your mouth-watering matchup. Sam will be commentating for TalkSport 2 in Game 1, Plymouth versus Leicester. It is Leeds versus Blackburn, Birmingham, Coventry, Bristol City, Huddersfield, Hull, QPR. Back at the top, Ipswich, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Cardiff. It's Preston, Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, Southampton, Watford, Swansea, Rotherham, West Brom, Sunderland. Get your thoughts in. Has there been anyone in the universe, Sam, gets as excited by relegation 6-pointers in the EFL Championship as I do? I bloody love it. I tell you, what do you call it, Sam? Filth. Who's responsible for this filth? Sam Parkin's responsible for choosing the mouth-watering matchup. He's about to do it. Get your suggestions in via the chat. Right, let's have a look down here. Wally, Preston, Norwich, Wednesday, Stoke, says Nat, Wednesday, Stoke, Preston, Norwich. What are you going for, Sammy?
Well, I think we decided on this already, but I've had a Preston North End fan text me this afternoon. And I'm just going to read his WhatsApp out in entirety, and that'll be my analysis, right? But
Do I get buried in it?
We're going for Preston, Norwich, all right? And he said, I did a little bit on the radio last night. He said, well done for last night. We've got Norwich Saturday and a game in hand. So when we beat Norwich, and it's tough, but we'd need something. Sorry, I'll start that again. So if we beat Norwich and it's tough, but we'd need something at Southampton, and then we are in caps in it. There you go.
Well, We'll talk about Preston Norwich in just a sec. I'll just set it up a little bit. You can see Norwich in great form, and they looked like they were coasting to a win against Sheffield Wednesday. Ended up drawing, but still, the point stands. Norwich's points return since about December has been really, really good. Preston just won't go away, and I'm kind of loving it actually because I've just not thought that they were going to be able to still be in the conversation, as your correspondent there on WhatsApp says, Sam, and he's put it more eloquently than I could. Beat Norwich, win game in hand. I know, best case scenario, isn't it? And they're right in it. First of all, though, Sam, I need you to talk to me about Osmajic and the hat-trick in 7 minutes. First of all, how hard is it to score a hat-trick in a professional football match? And how hard is it to do it in 7 bloody minutes?
Yeah, really hard. I used to hate coming on as a sub. I've got huge admiration for players.
He come off the bench, did he?
He come off the bench.
Did he? I didn't even know that.
I think he came on in the 74th minute. I think.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I could be wrong. I'd love someone to tell me in the chat. I think
sure
Alan Brown came on as well and assisted for one of the goals. Came on around about the same time, maybe the same break in play.
No, you're totally right. 76th minute, scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, and I was going to say I've got huge admiration for players because I used to find it really, really tricky. The one that used to jump out to me was Eden Hazard, and I was talking about one of the best players of all time here in the Premier League. But he used to just, and we all know what type of character he was, very laid back. So I would suggest he probably didn't even warm up anyway. He used to just come on, first time he get the ball, meg someone, run through the whole team and hit a shot. And I just think it used to take me 10, 15 minutes to get my eye in to be able to control a ball. So, yeah.
I'm saying the same about Sarmiento for Ipswich last night. I said to the guy next to me, that guy always takes 10 minutes to get into it.
Does he? Yeah. I mean, so that's why I look at players. It was a brilliant hat trick, running across people. He's a really powerful runner, isn't he, when he gets going? First two, lovely finishes. Third one looked like it may be deflected or he just scuffed it a little bit. I did want to draw attention if we're, just going to focus on the recent form going into that Norwich game. I thought the penalty award was really kind on Will Keane. And obviously that is a crucial moment of the game for Huddersfield and Preston. Huddersfield winning at that stage. I thought that was a poor decision. I think he played for it. And obviously that was the start of an incredible turnaround. But when you look at the team, Preston as well, on Tuesday or whenever it was, Brady played right wing back, I understand. Andrew Hughes played left wing back. So that's not the two nominal starting wing backs. Brady on the wrong side as well. So when you consider they had some problems, I think, going into this game, that's an outstanding result and credit where credit's due, because I didn't believe they'd be there at this stage of the season. And all of a sudden that becomes a massive game, even more so because Norwich dropped the 2 points. Norwich given 2 goals at Sheffield Wednesday and actually had 2 or 3 really presentable opportunities to be completely out of sight. And then Sheffield Wednesday, who I don't think have been able to score via a corner for love nor money this season, all of a sudden
same goal twice, wasn't it?
The same goal. Yeah. I did a podcast, obviously, with Adrian Clark this week, and he said, after you've conceded the first, you need to get someone standing 10 yards away from the ball. I think it was Will Volks who clipped the 2 in, just jumping up and down, doing something to put off the taker, which I thought was an interesting thing for him to notice. But, you can't get done by the same routine twice, essentially, was what he was saying. So a bit weird, because I wouldn't really associate Wednesday with overly playing and doing that in previous games. And then obviously I wouldn't think about them being really threatening from set pieces. So it's a bit of a weird game. Obviously Norwich have got to respond in this massive one all of a sudden.
So Sam, do you have it as I do that if Norwich just don't lose, so that would put Norwich to 69, it would put Preston to 64, so it'd be a 5-point gap. Preston with 4 to go. They're going to go away to Southampton as well. Does that do for Preston? Do they have to beat Norwich to really tighten this up? And conversely, if Norwich beat Preston and they go to 71 and Preston are on 63, is that game over and it's only Coventry then, depending on what they do at the weekend?
I'd say so. I'm like really strong on Norwich. I think being the team. It was interesting in the aftermath of that defeat. He was blaming the squad depth, wasn't he? David Wagner. I think they did have 3 19-year-olds and a 20-year-old on the bench, but yeah, he was blaming the lack of options in reserve. Obviously, it has hindered them this season when they had the string of injuries to the major players. But I thought it was interesting timing. So maybe not all is completely well there, but I still think with Bristol City at home, Swansea at home, away trip to Birmingham on the last day, they're going to have enough to keep the others at arm's length. Albeit, Coventry taking 3 from the Leeds and the Southampton game, not the worst return, and I think that's a really dangerous, difficult game for Birmingham at home to Coventry at the weekend. There's clearly so many more goals in the Coventry team at the moment. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but foregone conclusion. Singer-songwriter. But
Never not make me laugh.
But I think they'll, I'll take the draw. I don't know what I did in the predictions. I've got them here somewhere. What did I take? Don't know. I'll take the draw.
I think
Preston
we
Norwich.
the draw, didn't we? Yeah, there you go. But could they run a successful paper merchants? Right. Sam's going to take some of your questions in a minute, but we're going to have a question each for ourselves. So, Sam, you need to shut down the comments now because the comments will get it right quicker than we can. And it's time that we went to the week that was. Right, big thanks to our main man, Fev. Follow him, Fev's Football Analytics, at Fev's Football on Twitter, X. Sam, what's the score? You're like 17-14 up or something, aren't you, in a competition? Would you like me to ask you my question first, or would you like to ask me your question first?
You ask me first because it looks like you need a degree to ask this question. I'm going to have to read it through a few times. Go on, ask me.
Right, this is from Fev. Have a go in the comments. We won't look. I promise I've got them closed down my end. This week's round is called Miles from Home. Last weekend's rounds of fixtures saw 10 players score goals who were born outside of England. But you need to place these 5 in order of how far they were from their birthplace. To make it easier, I'll give you their name, club, and birthplace. Okay? So you've got to put them in order. So it's a geography question, really, Sam. How far when they scored were they from their birthplace? Okay.
How far when they scored? How far they were?
I don't think a few miles in England is going to matter.
Right? Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Looking at this. So you have got Vidigal for Stoke.
Hang on, can I note them down? Yeah.
Yeah, Vidigal for Stoke, and he's from Portugal.
Don't tell me that.
Laugh.
Oh, you can tell me where they're from. You're telling me where they're from.
Is that allowed? Yeah, I can tell you that.
Okay.
You got Latte Laugh for Borough. He's from Ivory Coast. You got Manhoof from Stoke. He's from the Netherlands. Nunes Norwich is from Chile. And Hadji Wright from Coventry is from the United States of America. But that's a pretty big place. Who was closest to home when
Give
they
me them
scored,
again.
Sam?
Vidigal. Who else? Latte Laugh. Next two.
Manhoof, who's from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Nunes from Chile.
Yeah.
And Wright from Coventry. Not from Coventry, from the USA.
Okay, so what do you want, closest or furthest?
Closest first, or the furthest, whichever way you want to do it.
The closest would be Manhoef.
Yep, I like it. 1 for 1.
Vidigal.
Yep, good. 2 for 2. You can tell Sam's travelled around Europe a lot. Bloody footballer, so.
Chile. Oh, blimey.
Ivory Coast, USA, Chile.
Oh, I'm going to show my ignorance here, aren't I? How big is that sea? Oh, no. How do you write? I'll go Ivory Coast.
Yep, you're correct.
And then I'd go, so it's Chile or USA. Do we know where they're from in USA? No.
I'm not telling you that.
No. Had you right? I think it's probably from the West Coast. That's just a bit of a stab, but I don't know why. Chile. I'll go Hadji right next, and then Nunez.
It's 5 for 5, Sam. Have I got a similar question here?
Yeah, you got the same, right? I'll whiz through it. Okay, I'll give you your guys, yeah? So place the 5 in order of how far they were from the birthplace. Okay, Carvalho, Portuguese.
Yep.
Gassama. Oh my God. Mauritania. Is that he's from Mauritius, is he?
Okay.
Johnson, Scotland. Musaba is Dutch. And Peru is Dutch as well.
Okay.
Can Ben use his geography skills to place them in order furthest away, closest, last? 1 point for
So
each.
the Scotsman first is Johnson, yeah?
Yeah. 247 kilometers. Yeah, Johnson.
So who are the 2 Dutch players again?
You've got Musaba and
Musaba.
you've got Peru. I'll give you where they're from if you want. Musaba is from Bjoningen, and Peru is from Wishen.
It's a complete guess. Musaba and then Peru. Musaba.
Correct.
Closest. Yes. So then did you have a Portuguese lad, Carvalho?
Yep.
Get him in there. And then the Mauritian.
Correct.
Got there in the end. 5 for 5. Thank you so much, Fev, for your quiz questions. Play along in the comments. You need to have your GCSE geography all sorted there. Speaking of questions, we want you to get yours in for Sam. Get your questions in now. Stick a Q before them. Stick a question mark after them. And we will get them all answered. It is questions to end the show. Well, you guys step up and hopefully fill the comments full of questions. You'll see above Sam's left ear hole that we are brought to you in association with Match Bingo. You can play tomorrow night. If you're enjoying Parkin's commentary, you can play along with Plymouth versus Leicester. It's absolutely free to get your Bingos card there, as I struggle as ever with the light in my studio here. I'm going to get mine right now. Just to prove how easy it is, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I have a Bingos card. You'll also see above it, Sam, I've got a Newcastle Tottenham card. Why? £1,000 jackpot. Newcastle Spurs is at 12:30 in the Premier League. Get involved. So Bingos is absolutely free, but it's going to cost you £2. And we are gambling, so please play responsibly. And please let them know over at Match Bingo that we sent you. If you're watching live on YouTube, click that there QR code and go and get involved. Questions. Who should be manager of the season in the Championship? Who's up for the award for Senior, McKenna and Farker? Give me a one-word answer.
McKenna.
I think I probably agree with that. I do think that Corberon should have been in there over Rossignol as well. Nothing against Rossignol. Which 2 teams will go down with Rotherham? Robbie, we're going to do that on Monday, so we'll keep our powder dry. Give us one more.
Well, I'll give him who my prediction was a month ago. If he didn't see the show, my 2 were Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth.
Who did I have, Sam? I had Blackburn and
you had Blackburn and Huddersfield.
Yeah. You remember these ones, can't you? Is Roll manager of the season if he keeps Wednesday up? Alex, it so depends, doesn't it, on if I don't know, if Corberon wins the playoffs, if Ryan Lowe wins the playoffs or something like that, then they'll be the manager of the year.
I'll give him that. I'd say maybe McKenna, Roll, Cifuentes in that order if they were both to stay in the division.
Will Leeds stay unbeaten at home all season? You can see if Leeds are already promoted by the final day, they'll blatantly lose at home to Southampton because they'll still be drunk, won't they?
I'll say yeah, just because Rovers next up and then obviously Southampton, and I've been quite strong on Leeds in the event that they need something against Southampton at home. I think they will get the job done despite maybe previous failures. So I'll say yes to that. That's a test for Blackburn, isn't it, at the weekend after Wednesday night?
5-0.
Just by a quirk of fate, really. I was just like having a whiz through some scores because I did a little bit wrapping up the night on the radio last night, and Bristol City had scored 5 goals in their previous 7, and then 5 flew in one night last night against Blackburn. Against, obviously, the team who probably when we're critiquing, there'd be no goals in that game. They'll be set up well defensively, and all of a sudden they capitulate.
From Annie, what's the mentality for a side down there who are nearly safe, but if they're complacent, they run the risk of being dragged back into it? Freedom, stroke nerves. I guess you're talking about like a Swansea on the edge of it or something.
Always nerves. Always nerves. It's never done until mathematically you're over the line. So I think huge credit to Swansea last night. I thought they've capitulated to a degree since the derby win over Cardiff. I think they've been really off it in the last few games. Looked like they were going to fall away, and people were sharpening their knives a little bit, sharpening their lives. That maybe they went a bit big on that celebration over Cardiff. So that was a massive win, and credit to them. It's easy to get dragged back in. Yeah. So nerves, absolutely. Not freedom until you're thinking about booking your flights to your holiday.
Sam, you won't mind if I take a FFP question. You hate that stuff, don't you? Tom, views on Blade's points deduction for next year. So let's be very clear about this. This is only a points deduction next year. 2-point deduction for Sheffield Wednesday given by the EFL if they are relegated. Look, the odds are they're going to be relegated. But I find this ridiculous. And I found it ridiculous when we were talking about Leicester City. So basically, the EFL have just given Sheffield United a points deduction for whenever they're next in the EFL. So that's not good enough. I'm sorry, that is absolutely not good enough. The Premier League and the EFL need to understand that each season, 6 teams pass either down or up from one division to the other. And we cannot, Sam, have this situation. They need to get their heads together. And for example, people will say I'm biased if I talk about it in terms of Leicester because it would benefit Ipswich, but the rules are the rules. Let's talk about it from Sheffield United point of view. So no matter what division they're in, if there's been a breach, there should be powers that the EFL and the Premier League work together, and whatever division that team is in at that point, that's when they get punished. And I'm very, very strong on that. I think it's ridiculous to have it otherwise. Sam, talk to me about characters at your club. Kitman, favourite Kitman, favourite tea lady. Anyone stand out?
So many. I'm terrible at this type of thing, aren't I? Terrible. There was an old boy at Swindon when I first went there called Curly. I'm talking 80 odd. That used to make the teas, yeah. And he had the best West Country accent you can ever imagine. And I think he's just obviously a volunteer for their years. So yeah, it's obviously I got a real soft spot for Swindon. So anyone there, Roger, the kit man there, was a former player, former goalkeeper. Pretty miserable to everyone, but probably had a little bit of a soft spot for me. And when I went back in a media capacity post-play, and he used to sort me out with tracksuits and stuff like that. So I always had a good relationship with him. Ali at St Mirren as well was really good. I had some great ones. Kitmen, as all the viewers will know, massive part of the club, and not just the kitmen. You know, they very much are someone that you can talk to, confidants, and also kind of the odd job men. You know what I mean? They're the ones that really look after the players. You know, the little superstitions, and people need, you know, different types of equipment, whatever. Kitmen, you man.
Right, Sam, we're coming up the hour, so I just
can I ask the listeners a quick one?
Right.
A player to watch this weekend. We forgot to do it, didn't we?
Yes, please. Get your player to watch in for this weekend, and we'll read a few out to finish the show. I just want to get this one in from Ed, but you're going to have to answer fairly quickly, Sam. That's 59 minutes ticked up. Who was the player you played with you thought would become a manager? Also, did you have Chopper Neil Harris down as becoming a manager? You got 30 seconds, Sam.
Probably Steve Robinson, who has managed in this country, hasn't he? Managed Morecambe, and he is up at, is he at Motherwell now? Can't think where he's been. St Mirren, sorry, my former club, St Mirren. He was a captain. He was a brilliant captain, orchestrator on the pitch, but sorted loads out socially as well.
You said the same about John Eustace, Sam.
Oh yeah, I never played with Eustace though, so otherwise I would have gone with him.
Mate, weren't you? Yeah.
But Steve Robinson used to take warm-ups. He used to get us really galvanised and motivated before games. So absolutely him. Neil Harris, obviously, I was really young, but incredible confidence, incredible belief in his ability. A real talker in the dressing room. I think he was 24 maybe when he joined Millwall, but already he was like a senior player. So having had that, brief spell with him as a young player, not surprised. And obviously, I think it helped that he was wasn't a one club man per se, but he spent so much time at Millwall. There was obviously such an affinity there that him and David Livermore, who was another guy that I played with, were going to become part of that club in a coaching capacity.
There we go. Right, we've got a few suggestions for a player to watch. Latte Laugh, hope it's not him for very selfish reasons. Josh Karoma, Ellis Sims, Sam Morsey.
Stop on the next one.
Go. That was your suggestion, wasn't it? Michael Obafemi.
Yeah, Michael Obafemi. Yeah, much better the other day. I'm with you, Alex S. He's going to get one at the weekend against Cardiff.
There we go. Right. I hope you have enjoyed it. Give us your feedback if you do like us coming on live. We can throw the odd one in. It's just scheduling and getting it done as soon into the week as we can. If you're listening after the fact, we appreciate the hell out of you over wherever you get your podcasts on the audio feed. Please do leave us a 5-star review. Check out Sam Parkin on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night as we're recording. He's going to be commentating on Plymouth and Leicester, and we will likely be back on Monday. We'll know a lot more about the playoff race, the automatic promotion race, and the relegation battle. Last word from you, Sam.
Enjoy the weekend, and love being back live. Thanks for all the comments, and let's get stuck into another one on Monday.